Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see the current affairs of 25th September 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see the list of the topics we are going to see and let us have a brief introduction regarding those topics. So first topic we are going to discuss about India-US talks. So actually our Prime Minister is on visit to USA. So in this visit, Modi ji and as well as our Biden, they talked of new phase in relations. So they talked about challenges and what is the agenda we are going to discuss in this topic. And this will be important from our international relations, which mainly comes under our GS paper 2. And next topic we are going to discuss is about the Mizoram fears of influx from Myanmar. So as you all know that in Myanmar here military coup happened. So because of this military coup now there are many people who are fighting against this military, and because of some confrontation which is happening there, so people they are coming on and off, they are crossing the border and entering into Mizoram. So this is the thing which mainly said in this article, and this will be important from our international relations and even from our security point of view. And next topic is about India rejects China's accusations on clash. So this article, to understand this, we need to go back to March, April 2020. So in this March, April 2020, what happened? So across this line of actual control which is present between India and China, so there was military standoff, and this military standoff that led to Galwan Valley incident. So in this Galwan Valley incident, about 20 Indian soldiers, they lost their life. So in this context, here Chinese made some statement regarding, so here in India it is one of the important reason for this clash. But for that statements, India rejected those statements. So we are going to discuss that, and this will be important from international relations, which again comes from GS paper 2. And next topic it is about Ministry of Defence strikes rupees 22,000 crore deal with Airbus. So here this article it is talking about deal with Indian government, for that is a Ministry of Defence along with the Spain Airbus. So here this topic is important from security because we are going to get Airbus, we are going to get some deal, okay, and this deal will be very much helpful for Indian Air Force. And next topic is about caste census. Actually, this topic is at most important, and this socio-economic caste census is seen highly in news. So this year 2021 means you can compulsorily 100% sure you can expect a question from this caste census in your GS paper 2. And this topic is important from our polity which comes under GS paper 2. And next one is AUKUS. So this is the trilateral strategic partnership. So here in this article they mainly focused on France. So we are going to see that dimension, and this will be important from our international relations. And next topic is about FDI and what is the impact on employment and as well as quality of employment. So this article I liked the most, and it is one of a unique article that I read regarding this FDI. So here you need to know what is this FDI and what is this FII, foreign direct investment and foreign investor investment, okay, foreign institutional investment. So what is the difference between this FDI, foreign direct investment, and foreign institutional investment? So let me know in comment box, because I discussed this topic number of times and it is your time now to revise that, and whatever the thing you remember, please let me know in comment box. So if you don't know about this topic, like what is the difference between this FDI and FIA, so please let me know in comment box. So in tomorrow lecture we are going to start with this topic itself. Please try to comment about whether you know about it or not. So if you know, please let me know, and if you don't know, please let me know that also, that please try to discuss this. Then tomorrow's lecture we are going to start our lecture with this topic itself. Now let us move on to first topic. Title says Modi Biden talk of a new phase in relations. So this article mainly talking about relationship between India and US. So this will be important from international relations. So why it is in news? What is the context? So if you see context, it mainly says that our Prime Minister and US President, they kicked off their bilateral talks. So if you see this image, you can see here Biden sir and here our Prime Minister Modi ji. So they both started this bilateral talks, and they came up with they also came up with some comments on India-US relationship, the areas they would work on like COVID-19, even climate change, and importance of diaspora. So these are the some important things. They made some comments. So now let us try to see some important details. If you see details, it mainly says that now both the leaders from India and USA, they suggested that countries, they were at an inflection point in their relationship. So in their relationship now they are at an inflection point, and they are mainly focusing on the growing importance of people to people ties. And here in this context, our Prime Minister said that Indian talent would be a full partner in this relationship. So this is the important statement which is made by our Prime Minister ji. And if you're talking about agenda of talks, so those talks mainly includes regarding the topics like COVID-19 pandemic. So in COVID-19, they can talk about what are the reasons. So where is this COVID-19 has emerged, whether it is China or not. And next one is they can talk about the status of vaccine. And even we discussed in last 2 days lectures like so there is India resumed the transport or export of this COVID-19 vaccine, because across the world we are seeing there is vaccine inequity. That means developed countries are moving towards booster dose, but some least developed countries like Africa, they are mainly having some inadequate vaccine supply. Mainly to address this vaccine inequity, so we need to go for exporting of vaccines to those least developed countries. So this is a thing they can talk, and they can talk about coming up of variants and what will be the treatment plan, so and so they can discuss about this COVID-19. And next one is the important agenda of talks also include climate change. So recently IPCC report and number of reports, number of studies, number of surveys mainly says that so there is increasing of climate change, and we need to decrease this greenhouse gas emissions. In yesterday's article also we studied about sea level rise. So due to this climate change, finally we can see there will be irreversible climate change that will be seen, and India is the most vulnerable because we are having a longest coastline. So this is the thing they can talk, and even they can talk about ensuring stability in Indo-Pacific region, including in the Quad partners. So these Quad countries mainly include India, US, Japan and Australia. So these are the 4 countries which are part of this Quad. Quad mainly stands for Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, and they are going to talk about security in this Indo-Pacific region. So why they are talking about this? And recently this AUKUS is in news, right? So AUKUS mainly it is a trilateral strategic partnership between 3 countries. That is Australia, UK and US. So they are going to talk about this Indo-Pacific region security, peace, etc., including the Quad partners. And one more important agenda of talks include US-India relationship that could help to solve an awful lot of world challenges. So finally, after this talks, they mainly said that so after this agenda of talks, they mainly said that so whenever there is a proper relationship between any 2 countries, for example like US and India, so this US and India partnership will be very much helpful mainly to solve many problems which are mainly facing across the world. So what are the problems? First one is climate change, right? And second one is security in this Indo-Pacific region. So there is increasing of aggressiveness of China that can be countered by these regional groupings like Quad and as well as AUKUS, etc. So in this way here, both the countries they said that whenever there is a proper relationship between India and US, that could finally helps to solve a lot of challenges that we are facing across the world. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Mizoram fears fresh influx from Myanmar. So this article mainly talking about refugees who are coming from Myanmar, they are entering into Mizoram. So it is one of cause of concern for Mizoram. Not only for Mizoram, especially when we are talking about this northeastern states, they face problem of refugees, right? And so not only in Mizoram but also countries, but also here if you see some states in northeastern area which mainly shares boundary with different countries. So those states especially they are facing problems regarding this migrants or refugees. So now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So why it is in news? So if you see context, it mainly says that a fresh offensive by Myanmar military in areas near the border with India has triggered fears of more people crossing over to Mizoram. So because of this military, Myanmar military, which is doing some offenses in this across this border of India. So because of this, now what happened? Many people, they are crossing the border and they are entering into Mizoram. If you see some details, it mainly says that, so officials in northeastern states, they said more than 11,500 Myanmar nationals, they have taken refuge since February when the country's military staggered a coup. So whenever this Myanmar which came under this military coup, then from that time onwards there are about 11,500 Myanmar nationals, they crossed the border, they entered India, and some of the refugees, they have been moving back and forth depending upon the situation in Myanmar. So depending upon the situation in Myanmar, some refugees, they are coming outside of the border or they are getting into this border. So but recent aid strikes by the armed forces that have made it one-way traffic over last few days. So from last few days onwards, Myanmar military, they started aid strikes. So because of this air strike, now it became a one-way traffic. Refugees are coming out of this Myanmar and crossing the border of India and entering into the Mizoram. So this is a one important thing. And this one is, according to intelligence officials, violence escalated after the Chin Land Defense Forces and Chin National Army in a joint operation captured a Myanmar army camp close to Mizoram border and detained 12 soldiers. So what happened? Why there is increase in the violence across the Mizoram border? Because Chin Land Defense Force. So here nearby this boundary, here we have this Chin Land. So in this Chin Land Defense Force and as well as Chin National Army, they went for a joint operation and they captured Myanmar's army camp, which is very much close to this Mizoram border. And in that event, it also detained about 12 soldiers. So here the military, which is mainly coming up with retaliation actions, and because of this, here there is influx of this migrants from Myanmar to Mizoram that is seen. And if you are talking about some more important details regarding these Chins, so these Chins of Myanmar, they are ethically related to Mizos of Mizoram. So they are mainly belongs to Mizos of Mizoram. So militias of the former have sided the pro-democracy forces, especially National Unity Government and as well as Myanmar's government in exile. So militias of former, they have sided, and as well as pro-democracy forces, they specifically the National Unity Government, and next one is Myanmar's government in exile. So what happened? We expect here, government officials mainly says that they are mainly expecting influx of Myanmar nationals into Mizoram due to armed conflict, and there are about 11,500 refugees, they came. So if you see the location of map, this orange, light orange color, it is our Myanmar. Okay, it is Myanmar, and here we have Mizoram. So Mizoram, which is sharing boundary with two important countries, that is one side it is sharing boundary with Bangladesh and one side with Myanmar. So here we have this Chin state. So because of this violence which happened in Chin state, that led to increase in the refugee movement towards Mizoram. So this is just of this topic. And now let us try to see the next topic. Title says India rejects China's accusations on clash. So if you see this image, it is a satellite image of Galwan Valley. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. Already we discussed background in introduction itself. So if you see context, it mainly says that India said that it rejected comments made by Chinese Foreign Ministry, and these statements mainly blaming for trespassing across the line of actual control and causing last year clash in Galwan Valley. So if you're talking about the map here, so here we have this LAC, line of actual control, that is between China and next one is India. So what happened here, the context says that India on Friday, so India mainly rejected the comments that are made by China's foreign ministry. So China's foreign ministry mainly blaming that trespassing across the line of actual control, which is mainly causing last year clash. So because of trespassing at this line of actual control, that led to this Galvan Valley incident. So it was China's proactive behavior that led to worst violence on the border across these countries in these decades. So in this decade, because of this Chinese provocative behavior, that mainly led to worst violence. And if you see some important details, it mainly says that the Chinese Foreign Ministry. So Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, in response to a question on whether there was a need for new border management protocols in wake of last year's LAC crisis, blamed India for sparking the tensions. So here what happened, Chinese foreign ministry says that no, it is not the mistake of China, but it is the mistake of India. So because of though we are having many border management protocols that we are following, that is Chinese says that yes, we are following those protocols, but in turn India which is not following that, because of that led to this event. So this statement which is given by Chinese foreign ministry. So here he also said that over the years there are series of treaties and agreements that mainly signed between India and China for maintaining of especially peace and tranquility along this line of actual control. And these treaties and these agreements which signed between India and China, they played an important role mainly in upholding stability along China-India border. So in this context, we can say this Galvan Valley incident in the last year. So in 2020, we had this Galvan Valley incident. So this incident mainly caused by Indian side's illegal trespass. So this is a statement which is given by China. China mainly says that from Indian side there is illegal trespass on this LAC. And Indians, they started encroach into this Chinese territory. So because of this, it is a mainly violation of previously signed treaties and as well as agreements. So in this condition, in this context, here foreign ministers of Chinese says that it is mainly because of India. But if you see from Indian side, Government of India, that is Ministry of External Affairs, dismissed the comment and says that it rejects the such statement. So he said that our position with regards to development last year along this LAC and in eastern Ladakh has been clear-cut and as well as consistent. So the unilateral attempts, so Chinese side, we saw there are unilateral attempts from the Chinese side that led to alteration of status quo in this contravention of all our bilateral arrangements. Okay, so he also said that because of this, it also affected or it leads to disturbances in the peace and tranquility, and as well as it led to some impact. There is some bad impact on even bilateral relationship between India and China. So this is just of this topic and I hope it is clear. Now let us try to see next topic. Title says Ministry of Defence strikes rupees 22,000 crore deal with Airbus. So this article will be important from your security point of view, which comes under GS paper 3. And now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that MOD, Ministry of Defence, signed an estimated rupees 22,000 crore deal with Airbus Defence Space of Spain. Okay, so why we came up with this agreement? So this deal, which is mainly regarding 56 C-295 MW transport aircrafts, and these aircrafts are mainly going to replace the aircrafts which we procured in 1960s. So this is context. And if you're talking about some important details, it mainly says that this is the first project of its kind. So we are going to have a military aircraft, and this military aircraft will be manufactured by India under technological transfer by this private sector. So from this Airbus we can get this technology transfer, and by using this technology transfer we are going to manufacture our indigenous military aircraft. And for the first time, an Indian private company that will be wholly manufacturing the aircraft in India, that is Tata. So one important thing I want to say here is this is important from ethics. So when I used to prepare for my exam, so one important thing I learned from my sir is, so he mainly said that every business, so if you're doing in every business, we need to follow ethics. So Tata also doing business, Tata group of companies also doing business, and they will follow ethics. So their ethics is, each and every household they should use this Tata product. For example, they came up with the Tata Nano cards with a very low price that will be very much helpful for middle class people. And whatever these poor people who can't buy these cards, and they came up with the concept of Tata Salt. So if they are not using even Tata Indica card, they can come up with this Tata Salt. They can use this Tata product in their home. And now if you see this Tata Advanced Systems Limited, which mainly developed from Tata Salt to Tata cards, now they are going to manufacture this Airbus also. So if you're talking about some important facts, so of 56 aircraft, 16 will be delivered within a fly away condition from Spain. So out of 56, 16 will be delivered from Spain directly within 48 months, and remaining will be manufactured by India itself, especially by the Tata group within 10 years from the date of contract. And next one is here this C295, which is having about 5 to 10 ton capacity. And here this aircraft will be very much useful for tactical transport up to 71 troops or 50 paratroopers. And it will be very much helpful for logistic operations where we cannot get proper logistic operations like proper rail facilities or proper train facilities or proper road facilities, etc. And also it also has a proven capability of operating from short or unprepared airstrip. So these are some important advantages and some important characteristics. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. And now let us try to see the next topic. Title says complex count. Actually, this topic mainly talking about caste census. This topic will be important at most, very important from our polity, especially from GS paper 2. So now let us try to see the central theme. So a precise caste census is difficult, but data will be useful to drive social policy. So here, whenever we see this central theme, it will be easy to understand what is the thing which is written in this article. So actually this article says that whenever we want to get this caste census, it is a very much difficult task. But once we get this caste census, it will be very useful for drive the social policy. And now let us try to extract the points which are important from our UPSC point of view. So if you're talking about this idea of national-wide caste census might be abhorrent when the stated policy is to strive the casteless society. So whenever we are talking, or whenever our political leaders may be talking about to move towards casteless society, and whenever we need to go for again national-wide caste census, means it is like contradicting that idea of casteless society. So but when we are going for this caste census, which will be very useful mainly to establish statistical justification for preserving caste-based affirmative action policies or action program. For example, for some so-and-so caste people, there are some important schemes which are come up by government. Mainly that will be helpful mainly to bring them from backward towards our mainstream society. So for this type of things, for this caste-based affirmative programs, so we need the caste data. So if you're talking about some important thing regarding this caste system in India, so caste system in India, it is a nemesis. That means it is a one of unavoided thing, and here it is mainly severely restricted the country's ability to realize its immense potential and become the great nation in science, technology, knowledge, art, sport and economic prosperity. So because of this caste system, it is not only present in the present society, but even from the history onwards, in ancient period, in medieval period, we have this caste system, right? So here we are having upper class and as well as lower class. Upper class used to live in a good area and lower class should be live beside, okay? They should be live far away from this mainstream society. So even in our ancient period, whenever the shadow of this scheduled caste person, which is mainly seen means that shadow, it is also considered as impurity. So because of this caste feeling which mainly imbibed ourselves, so in our society, then that mainly leading to countries incapacity, or we can say countries disability to get out immense potential to form a great nation in the different fields like science, technology, knowledge, art, etc. So now let us try to understand why we need this caste census. So if you're talking about need of this caste census, first one is it will be very much helpful for policy making, because whenever the government want to come up with any schemes, especially for downtrodden people, so especially for so and so caste people, so we need this caste census. And this one is it also helpful for revealing of privileged section of our society. So caste, it is not only a source of disadvantage, but it also a very important source of privilege and as well as advantages in our society. And next one is caste has important position in Indian society. So while the census data has been captured for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, religions and linguistic profiles, so there has been no profiling of all caste in India since 1931. So here caste has important position in our society. And this one is to address prevalent inequalities. So there is unequal distribution of wealth, resources and education that has been seen, and it is evident. So mainly for addressing of those issues, those inequalities, so we need this type of caste census. And this one is, it is a constitutional mandate. So in our constitution also it favors conducting of caste census. So according to Article 340, you have to remember this. According to Article 340 of Indian Constitution, which mainly it mainly talks about appointment of a commission, and this commission need to investigate the conditions of socially, educationally backward classes, and also to make recommendations as to the steps that should be taken by the government regarding those things. And this one is to burst the myths. So there are a lot of myths which actually deprive the large section of people, particularly the marginalized people. Mainly for that we need to have this caste census. And next one is to reduce inclusion and exclusion errors. So whenever we are having the accurate data regarding the caste, then only we can go for reduction of inclusion and exclusion criteria in number of schemes. It will be benefits a large group of people. And even Supreme Court has time and again asked the governments to provide the data which is related to caste. However, this has not been possible because of non-availability of such caste related data. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to the next topic. It is about India is not a bystander in Akkus saga. So this article mainly talking about Akkus. So this topic is important from our international relations point of view. So now let us try to see this topic. So first of all, let us try to understand what is Akkus. Akkus, it is a major initiative, right? And it is a trilateral strategic partnership between three countries, Australia, UK and US. So under this Akkus, which mainly said that it is going to deliver a nuclear powered submarine fleet for Australia. And here whenever Australia is getting this nuclear powered submarine, so it will be very much helpful, especially to counter China in this region. And while US and Britain, they have had capability of for decades, regarding Australia has never had this nuclear submarine. So if you are talking about Britain and US, they are having the technology regarding this nuclear submarine, but here Australia do not have this capability of this nuclear submarine. And if you are talking about why Australia, it is a central stage now. So because nuclear powered submarine which gives a navy the capability to reach far out into the ocean and launch attacks. So if you are having any nuclear submarine here, so it is mainly present inside the water, especially inside the ocean or sea. So because of this, we can launch attacks from the sea itself. So it will be very much helpful. And next one is here this nuclear submarine, which also offers a long distance drives at higher speed without being detected, or gives a nation the ability to protect its interest far from the shores. So whenever we are having the submarine in the water, so actually tracing of this location is very hard, and we can easily move from one place to another place with a very higher speed without being detected. So it is a one more advantage And in the context of this AUKUS agreement, nuclear powered submarine that will give the Royal Australian Navy the capability to go into South China Sea. So this is also one important thing which mainly helps to counter China. And the next important thing is we need to talk about why is France unhappy again about this Australia getting these submarines. Because this deal which is mainly complicating the relation between the France and Australia and even France and US. And France is upset because it is mainly kept out of this strategic alliance or strategic partnership. So here the core important objective of pushing back against Chinese aggression, all 5 countries like for example US, UK, Australia, France and India, they are on the same track. But if you see India it is part of Quad, but France it is not part of Quad and even this AUKUS. So it is a one important upset of this France. And deal between the France and Australia, they had been marked by the delays and other issues regarding this submarine. So whenever this partnership which is providing this technology and submarine to Australia means it is a one cause of concern for France. And now let us try to talk about why Indo-Pacific region it is an important core issue now. So if you're talking about some important things regarding this Indo-Pacific region, so France which like the UK is historically been an Indo-Pacific power with territories and as well as bases which is present across this region. So across this Indo-Pacific region, France which is having number of territories and as well as number of bases. So this France also participated in multi-nation naval exercise, especially in the Bay of Bengal and as well as 4 Quad nations. And next one is there is no gainsaying the fact that rapid accretion in China's economic and military capabilities. And several countries they have been obliged to review their defense preparedness in response to Chinese rising military power and as well as we are having some adverse impact on regional stability. So if you're talking about this Indo-Pacific region, now there is a power shifting that is seen from west towards east, and this Indo-Pacific region which is controlling the most of the trade that is passing through the Strait of Malacca, which is one of important choke point. So because of all these things, now there is increasing the importance of this Indo-Pacific region that is seen. And in this Indo-Pacific region, one more important issue we are seeing is there is increasing of presence of China and even there is increasing of aggressiveness of China. So we need to counter that. And if you're talking about one important thing here is AUKUS, it is not a substitute for the Quad. So it is here if you're talking about this AUKUS, whether it is a substitute of this Quad or not. So here the leader said that no, it is not a substitute for this Quad. It does not erode the Quad significance as a platform. So this Quad which mainly acts as a platform especially for consultations and even coordination in the border themes like they talked about maritime security, free and open trade, healthcare, critical technologies, infrastructure, space supply chains, etc. So it is not an substitute. And next one is the AUKUS submarine deal. On other hand, which is undiluted example of strategic defense collaboration and even game changer. So this is gist of this topic, and now let us move on to one more interesting topic. So before saying that, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial as well as highly economical course, that is Current Affairs package, along with the mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful? So one thing you need to remember here is before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And one more thing I want to say here is mains answer writing practice. So many students they ignore this mains answer writing practice. So because of this, even though if they clear prelims, they cannot clear mains without answer writing skills, answer writing practice. So here in this course, you are going to write more than 300 questions and more than 50 essays. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. And even in this course, we are also providing you prelims test on every Sunday, and we provide you video explanation part. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. details of this course which is given in description box, so please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, now let's come back and let us see the last topic of the day. Title says when global firms disengage, employment suffers. So this article mainly talking about whenever FDI, that is foreign direct investment, which is coming into India. So obviously it will helpful for development or creation of so and so company or so and so factory. That will help for giving of some employment opportunities here. But what happen when suddenly this company which is going outside, that will affect the employment. So this is the gist of this topic actually. So now let us try to see some important details which are given in this topic. So the most recent labor statistics for August 2021, so which made released by CMIE. So whenever I am saying the data, so that data is very important in writing your essay and as well as your mains answer. So the most recent labor statistics for August 2021. So this statistic made released by CMIE, that is Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. So Center for Monitoring Indian Economy shows that unemployment rate has increased from around 7% in July. It increased to 8.3% for August 2021. Okay, so what happened if you are comparing with July and August? In July it was 7% and in August it is 8.3% of unemployment. So if you are talking about absolute terms, in terms of absolute terms, employment shrunk from 399.7 million in July to 397.8 million. Okay, so here from 397.8 million in July, that increased to 399.7 million in August. So there is about 1.9 million jobs they were lost just in 1 month. You can imagine the number here. The job loss mainly seen in this farm sector especially. And if you're talking about this non-farm jobs, they did increase it mainly to absorb some of this, but the quality of jobs which are generated in this non-farm sector, which is a matter of concern now. And if you see some more data, it mainly says that employment in agriculture mainly fell by 8.7 million. And here if you're talking about this non-farm jobs, which mainly increased by 6.8 million. So this non-farm job mainly increased in business and as well as small trade, etc. But one cause of concern here is manufacturing sector did not lead to increase in job opportunities. So if you're talking about employment sustainability, during the normal times, whenever there is a seasonal labor, they came from agriculture and they want to go for non-agriculture sector means. So these people, they are accommodated in this construction sector especially. But if you see currently this construction sector itself, which is mainly shedding jobs and or mainly forcing the workers to find employment in other areas, for example household work like cleaning activities or washing activities and even low-end services. So because of some non-availability of sufficient jobs, especially in this manufacturing sector, it is very much higher and it is also hampering the economic growth in our country. So if you are talking about one important theory, it mainly says that the name of this theory is elementary economic theory. So according to this elementary economic theory, which mainly suggests that rising the level of investment, it is an important key to output and employment growth. So for employment growth and as well as to increase our output, so the level of investments is important. So if we are talking about investment, we can talk about public investment, that is investment from the government, and next one is private investment. So under this private investment, we talk about FDI, which is coming from foreign countries to India and they are investing and they are coming out setting up of manufacturing units or any factory. Or for example, if you say KFCs, McD's, Domino's, they are MNCs, right? So whenever MNCs are coming and setting up here, so it will also provide employment for local people. So this article mainly says that whenever there is inward, that means coming up of this FDI into country, that will generate jobs that will be directly or indirectly, and will be also increasing the production activities, and there is also increasing the demand for labor and the employment opportunities will be increased. but there are some this thing, if you see about this automobile sector especially, there is increasing of FDI that is seen in this automobile sector, but there are some important factors which are mainly acting as a roadblock in this automobile sector. They include because of this novel coronavirus. So because of novel coronavirus and subsequent lockdown in the country, the aggregate demand for these automobiles in our economy which became very low. And next one is we are also facing some problem regarding shortage of semiconductors. Okay, so because of the shortage of semiconductors, that led to a decrease in the production of automobiles. So not only this, the recent exit of Ford. So one example which mainly said in this article to explain this is recent exit of Ford from Indian market, that mainly releases a large number of employees. They need to search now again in a new job, and some people they find it is very much hard to find a job in other things. So while if you see FDI might help in creating the manufacturing ecosystem in certain locations, but whenever these are going out means that will also create some impact or adverse impact on our economy as well. So exist of high profile global firms, they mainly affect employment generation, especially in the two ways. So first one is they say if any investor who is coming out of that so and so country means it will create some impact or apprehensions like so that country it is not nice, so we should not go there, and because of this some new investors who want to invest in that so and so country they will go back. And this one is the process of destruction of job that can be seen, right? So here whenever we are having this type of leaving of FDIs from the country, so we will be having some circumstances, and those circumstances generally lead to a wait and watch approach. So finally it will also affect the other new private investments that are going to come into that so and so country. So this is the gist of this topic, and I hope it is clear. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package. Thank you so much.